It's really lovely to be here and see all of your faces, and thank you for that really kind introduction. Yes, so it was just 2 short years ago that I was sitting out there about to walk across this stage, and I had learned something really important in the Women in Transition program. I had been asked to consider something that I had never considered before. What was it that was really important to me? What mattered to me? What made for a rich and fulfilling life for me? And so I walked across that stage and I sat back down, and I knew the direction I was headed. I was headed towards what mattered most to me. And I was filled up. I was completely filled up with the inspiration that I had received in this program. Week after week, hearing the stories of the other women in class, and just hearing them share their vulnerabilities, their strengths, I felt like we're all in this together and we can do anything. We can take on the world. And so when I drove off that night after my own WIT graduation, I imagined my life like a bus. And I was in the driver's seat, and I grabbed onto that steering wheel, and I looked out that windshield, and I was full of that inspiration, and I just drove off towards what mattered most to me. I started an internship at Oregon Research Institute, and I just learned everything I could about behavioral research. And then, even though it seemed impossible after being out of school for 13 years, I applied for that master's program at the University of Oregon, and I got accepted. But then something interesting happened. There I was, that next fall term, sitting in my first series of master's classes, and I'm with all these psychology doctorate students and other master's students, and I feel really different. And here they are from all these big name schools, and they've just recently graduated, and they have really big complex vitas, and they know all this fancy language that I don't really understand. And these passengers started hopping on my bus. I'm driving towards what matters to me, and there's these passengers hopping on my bus, and they're squawking at me. They're saying things to me like, "You're too old. You're an imposter. What are you doing here?" And then there's some that are saying to me, "Oh, honey, why don't you just come sit back here and I'll go drive that bus, and I'll just turn around and go home, and we'll just forget this whole thing." And that sounded really appealing to me. And so I started spending, for a short time, I started fighting with those passengers, struggling with those passengers, listening to those passengers, everything but hands on the steering wheel, looking out that window, driving towards what mattered most to me. And then I remembered, I have a map, my 5-year plan. I went and found my 5-year plan, like, oh, it's in here somewhere. Oh, there it is. When you feel like it's too much, when you feel like you're going to give up, find a circle of women. This is what I'd written to myself. And that's where you'll find your inspiration. And so that's when I created this childbirth class that now I'm researching and implementing within Lane County WIC. And every week I meet with this circle of inspiring, amazing women. And they think that I'm giving so much and doing so much for them. But really, they have no idea. It's all for me. It keeps me on the road, hands on the steering wheel, driving towards what matters most to me. And so, this is why I'm here today, so that when you leave here tonight, I hope that you will imagine your life like a bus. It can be some kind of standard yellow school bus, or you can have some kind of tie-dyed variety with a chicken coop on the top. It doesn't matter, as long as it's your bus, and you get in the driver's seat. You put your hands on that wheel, and you drive towards what you care about most. And when those passengers get on your bus and they start squawking at you, just say, here's some coffee, here's the newspaper, have a comfortable seat, because I'm the one driving. Thanks.